When Mom found out I was her real daughter, she flew into a rage right there. She talked the fake daughter's adoptive mom into ditching her and kept making my life hell. Later, the fake daughter pushed her down the stairs into a vegetative state and nearly left her to die in the flames. She was dumped at the hospital and left to rot, ignored and forgotten. It was me who took care of her day and night, never complaining once. Even when someone was choking me, nearly dead, I let go of my last bit of dignity and begged the fake daughter not to yank out Mom's oxygen tube. Later, Mom came back to life on the day she made me sign the disownment papers. I finished packing and glanced around the tiny room I'd called home for 2 years. The Evans family's villa was enormous, yet as their real daughter, I got stuck sleeping in the tiniest servants' quarters. The tiny room barely fit a wooden bed under a meter wide, making it hard to even turn around. My suitcase doubled as my closet, and flipping it over became the desk I'd used for 2 years. However, the one who made me live here was my biological mother. When she found out the babies had been switched and I was actually the Evans family's real daughter, my mom burst into tears right there. She cried angrily, "How could I have such an ugly daughter? She's stealing, beating and bullying classmates, how could a bad seed like her be my daughter? I'm not ugly, just so skinny I look sickly, nothing compared to her precious fake daughter Sophia. I didn't steal anything, it was all Sophia's prank. Sophia and I went to the same school. She deliberately planted a diamond bracelet in my gym clothes. Crying and making a scene with the teacher so that the school would call in her mother. Refused to back down and forced me to drop out. Sophia sneered, "What's a broke nobody like you doing in X-High? You're only fit to trail behind your mom, digging through garbage." Since she found out my dad died young and my mom was scraping by recycling scrap to pay for my school, she did everything to kick me out. She shared a natural sense of superiority with those rich kids. Even though she ranked at the bottom of the class, that didn't stop her from pushing others out. She turned my classmates against me and left me completely isolated. In the end, she resorted to framing me for theft. In the teacher's office, her mom slapped me hard across the face. Her sharp nails sliced into my cheek, burning like fire. The snooty woman jabbed a finger at my mom and sneered, "Trash like you shouldn't even be in school, sticky fingers probably stole those grades too. If they're thieves, how could their grades not be stolen too?" Who would have guessed that just days later, the person pushing me to drop out would end up being my real mother? When the police took me to the Evans family, they said the nurse who'd swapped the babies finally grew a conscience and spilled the truth. Mom's first reaction was to panic and blurt, "This has to be a mistake? How could she be my child?" It was like I was a sticky piece of gum she couldn't scrape off, needlessly ruining her peaceful life. Beside her, Sophia's face instantly drained of color. She clenched her fists, glaring at me with pure hatred. At that moment, she might have thought the two children would swap places, leaving her as the daughter doomed to scavenge trash. But Mom pressured and coaxed the adoptive mother into abandoning plans to take Sophia away. From then on, Sophia kept scheming to kick me out. Calling me sister to my face while scheming to stab me in the back. 2 years later, her plan finally worked. I'm about to be kicked out of the Evans family. Last night, Mom told me to get out. Sign the disownment agreement tomorrow, and I'll cover your mom's medical bills plus give you enough cash to get through college. She meant my adoptive mother, Sophia's birth mom. She never let me call her mom. Quit cozying up, looking at you makes me sick, you money-grubbing brat. She never liked me from the get-go, yet she dotes on Sophia, the daughter she raised, all the same. To keep Sophia from feeling upset, she claimed me as family but never really took me in. When Dad wasn't home, I wasn't even allowed at the dinner table, leftovers were all I got. But it wasn't like I asked to be part of T. Evans' family. My adoptive mom cried and made me leave, saying, "At least you'll have food and clothes with them." As a result, I learned what it truly meant to live under someone else's roof in my own home. Sophia was suddenly standing at the door, staring at me with amused interest. "How's it feel to fall from heaven back into hell?" Vivian Evans, oh, wait, Vivian Miller. I wasn't sad, if anything, I felt relieved to finally be done with all this. Finally awake, Mom rushed downstairs in a hurry. The inevitable had come. I steadied my breath and clenched the pen in my hand. Mom suddenly rushed over and yanked me into a bone-crushing hug. Cold tears splattered my face, completely freaking me out. Crying? What's this act now? Her trembling voice came from above. Sweetheart, Mom won't let anyone hurt you ever again. I was stuck in her arms, unable to move. Glancing up, I caught Sophia's startled expression. Her mouth twitched with irritation flashing in her eyes, but her words came out all pitiful. Mom, you don't really want Vivian to go either, right? Maybe we should keep her here. Saying this, she snuggled into Mom's arms like always, shooting me a defiant look with those eyes. When I first came back to the Evans family, I was hurt by Mom's unexplained resentment and tried hard to make things work, but now I couldn't care less. It's tough to face that my own mom doesn't love me, but whatever, it's over now. She'd cuddle Sophia while sharing fun stories, but if I stood even a meter away, she'd immediately flap her hand in disgust to shoo me off. They lived in luxury, while I had to work part-time after school just to scrape together enough for my expenses. The pocket money Dad gave me was snatched by Mom and shoved to Sophia. You're fed and housed, how dare you ask for money? There was this one heavy rainstorm when Mom came to pick up Sophia, holding an umbrella in one hand and her backpack in the other, terrified she'd get even slightly wet. No one gave a damn how I got back. That crappy little umbrella was torn to bits by the storm, and I stumbled home in pitch darkness, shaking like a leaf. But Mom glared at me coldly. Who are you faking that pathetic look for? Because I came back too late, she had the servants throw out even the leftovers. That night I ran a high fever, and in the end it was the driver who couldn't bear to watch anymore and took me to the hospital. The next day, Mom covered her mouth and nose in disgust. Wear your mask properly. Don't you dare get Sophia sick. So I can't even remember when I gave up trying to make her like me, there were just too many times. I broke free from Mom's hug, went to grab my bags, and didn't take a single thing Dad ever got me. But then Mom suddenly rushed over and grabbed my suitcase. You're not going anywhere. This is your home, where the hell do you think you're going? Both Sophia and I froze in place. 2 weeks ago, my adoptive mom was hit by a speeding car and hospitalized with serious injuries. While I was scrambling to cover her medical bills, Sophia kept sucking up to our mother. She might have birthed me, but you're my only mom. Even if they call me heartless, I'd never dare ask you to foot her bills. With a content smile, Mom held her close, showering her with kisses, then covered the hospital bills up front. Now that the medical expenses were running out, she seized the chance and made me sign a disownment agreement to cover my adoptive mother's treatment costs. But when I woke up, she seemed to have backtracked again. She seemed off, clutching me tightly, her eyes glaring like she wanted to devour me whole. She looked me up and down, tears starting to well in her eyes. Although I couldn't figure out why she was acting this way, I wasn't going along with it anymore. My adoptive mother's life depended on that medical money. I'd already cried my heart out under the covers last night. I said hoarsely, Auntie, I can sign right now. Sign what? Vivian, why are you calling me Auntie? You're my own flesh and blood, call me Mom. Sophia's face shifted slightly, but she stayed quiet. I didn't make a sound, scared of Mom's sudden sarcastic digs or taunts. During my exam prep that year, I nervously asked Mom if I could ride in T. Evans' family car to school. The villa area was too far from school, and I still kept missing morning classes even with biking to catch the bus. Done pretending to be all independent now? If it's too far, move to the dorms and spare me the sight of you. Later, some kind-hearted servants noticed me burning the midnight oil with homework and brought sliced fruits, but Mom intercepted them at the doorway. Why pamper the little gold digger? She's not even officially part of the Evans family yet, putting on airs like that, huh? She favored Sophia, convinced I was only clinging to the Evans family for their money. I never told my adoptive mom about any of this, but she must have sensed something. Once, she came to take Sophia back home, but Mom refused right away. Sophia can't handle tough times. We can take care of her just fine. If you really want what's best for her, stop bringing this up. My dad secretly offered my adoptive mom some money, but she wouldn't take it. I'm not selling my child. Truth is I can't provide for her like this. Let's just pretend I never had her. My adoptive mother didn't want to part with me but couldn't bear to see me get dirty looks. She just sighed and said, "You're her own flesh and blood. She might need time to accept you." After 2 years of enduring this, I still hadn't gotten the belated motherly love I hoped for. Staying any longer just felt like suffocation. Thinking of my adoptive mother made me panic. "Auntie, didn't we have a deal? The medical bills." But Mom cut me off. "Sweetheart, don't worry about the bills. I just paid everything and got her a private room." She even arranged for 2 caregivers to look after my foster mom. Then, unsure what in the room displeased her, she scowled and summoned the servants. "Take Vivian's stuff to the room next door. From now on, I'll take good care of my own daughter. I wonder if something's wrong with her head." I was totally lost, watching the servants hustle to clean up the spacious room. I was still in a daze when Mom dragged me into the car, not even registering what was happening. She wrapped her arm around me, pressing her head to mine with sudden closeness that left me uneasy. "It was all my fault before, Vivian. Mom won't ever let you feel wronged again. Help. Can someone tell me how my mom changed overnight?" She even refused to let Sophia tag along. It was my first time shopping at the mall with Mom, and I didn't know where to put myself the whole time. My worn-out shoes sank into the plush carpet as the sales clerk shot me a scornful look. Since we entered one after the other, she probably didn't realize the woman ahead was connected to me. I was just looking at a pair of sparkling shoes when she immediately planted her hands on her hips and snapped at me. "Don't touch unless you're buying. If you break it, you'll be working your whole life and still won't be able to pay for it." When Mom turned and saw what was happening, she came straight over and pulled me into her arms. For some reason, there was a flicker of pain in her eyes when she looked at me, but I must have imagined it. "Get your manager here now." The manager rushed over, apologizing profusely, but still couldn't withstand Mom's furious outburst. "So you're judging people by their looks, huh? Just 'cause I'm dressed plain, I don't belong in your store? Have her check how much I spend here annually. Let's see if her lifetime earnings could even cover it." The manager kept apologizing, then called the clerk over to bow and apologize. Mom looked at me and asked, "Still upset?" "Don't worry. With me here, no one can mess with you." I nodded quickly, though I was so flustered I didn't know what to do with myself. The manager trailed behind my mom, watching her browse the chic outfits. "Wrap up everything except these." She pointed at the set in the window display. "The full ensemble, get my daughter dressed in this." When the driver and store manager walked over carrying dozens of bags, I could barely believe all this was actually meant for me. "Auntie, I won't get to use these. They're too pricey and I don't have anywhere to wear them. After school, I have to work part-time jobs, and I really can't bring myself to wear clothes that cost thousands for a single piece." But then Mom's eyes suddenly reddened, looking at me with such care, her voice quivering. "Wear them however you like. How could you not need them? This is what I owe you. Last time I accidentally messed up Sophia's silk pajamas, Mom wouldn't let me eat dinner." Sophia put on a sympathetic front. "I really don't blame Vivian. After all, I stole her life, it's only natural she resents me." "So what if she ruined it? Don't forbid her from eating." Then she put on a pitiful act right away. "I'm just a bit heartbroken, it's the one you had custom made for me in Paris last time." Now, as she watched servants hauling those luxury bags into my room one after another, her eyes burned red. My mom was still telling the housekeeper that everything in my room must be top-notch. Don't let my daughter feel wronged. I stood awkwardly to the side, my mind a jumbled mess, convinced something wasn't right. What was most strange was that Mom had suddenly stopped loving Sophia overnight. She used to bring Sophia along wherever she went, but now it was just me. During summer break, Sophia wanted to go abroad, but Mom pretended not to hear. Instead, she gently asked me, "Vivian, want to take a trip to Europe?" I was concerned about my adoptive mother's condition and kept politely declining. Mom looked really disappointed, which only made Sophia sneak in more sarcastic jabs at me behind my back. Quit acting all saintly, don't think Mom's pity makes you a real he. She grabbed the golden limited edition bag, sneering, trashy look. You think you're fit to hold this? With the debutante ball approaching, aside from the same dress as mine, Mom didn't care about anything else Sophia wanted to buy recently. When she grabbed her bag to head out that evening, I knew she was off to meet Lucas Grant. The Grant and Evans families had been close for years. She and Lucas grew up together, naturally becoming the perfect match everyone expected since they were kids. Mom suddenly stopped her with a cold look and demanded, "Isn't this Vivian's bag?" Sophia said offhandedly she didn't want it and kept pushing it on me. Back me up here, Vivian? I was used to her spouting nonsense like this and was just about to answer when Mom suddenly marched over and slapped her across the face. I froze on the spot. Sophia was completely bewildered, tears spilling over as she gaped at her mother. Mom, how could you hit me? My mother snatched the bag from her and snapped, if Vivian doesn't like it, just toss it. But stealing it and saying she forced it on you, that's not okay. Mom, I didn't. Mom snorted coldly and abruptly summoned the driver inside. Check the car's camera footage. Sophia's face went deathly pale. Mom. The surveillance footage flashed up on the mansion's big screen, that exact moment when I was scrambling to submit my college application forms. Sophia shoved me out of the car onto the ground, disgusting. I refused to share a car with you. She flushed, stammering, I was just kidding with Vivian. I couldn't bear to see you suffer, so I insisted on keeping you close. Now I see that was a mistake. Sophia's face went even paler, her whole body shaking a little. Mom made her strip down and change into the clothes the servants brought. I recognized them as the few clothes I had in my luggage. Sophia was about to cry. But Mom wasn't done. 18 years of spoiling you rotten, and I've ended up with a little traitor. I won't make you sleep in the servants' quarters, but your cards are cut off. You'll get $1,500 a month for expenses, budget it yourself at college. After graduation, go wherever you want, I won't be footing your bills anymore. To Sophia, this came like a thunderbolt out of nowhere. She stood there, tears streaming down her face, staring blankly at Mom. Why? Even if I pushed Vivian by accident, how could you just throw me out? She threw herself into her mother's arms like always, but got shoved away instantly. I've been too lenient with you, blurring your sense of place. Vivian's my real daughter by blood. If I catch you bullying her again, I won't go easy on you. My mother led me upstairs, not forgetting to tell the servants. Bring the food upstairs later. Isn't Sidian going on a date? Skip her meal. Sophia didn't make it to her date that night, she sobbed her heart out in her room. I sat in the upstairs dining room, the food like sawdust in my mouth, my mind completely wandering. Mom piled my bowl sky-high with food, acting like she didn't even notice those fake sobs. In the past, even when Sophia just silently shed a couple of tears, Mom would want to kick me out. You must have said something to upset her again. Did you throw your real daughter status in her face or what? I couldn't argue my way out of it and ended up missing dinner as punishment every single time. Who would have guessed things would flip around this fast? I couldn't help but ask, Mom, why were you being so nice to me all of a sudden? So nice it makes me uncomfortable and scared. Someone who's never had anything won't feel that bad losing it. But once you end up with more and more stuff without knowing why, you get all nervous like me. Mom suddenly got teary-eyed. She put down her chopsticks, came over, and hugged me tight. I was wrong before. My first impression of you wasn't great, thought you were trouble, and there were so many bad rumors. I messed up. I'll make things right from now on. Someday we'll be just like any other mom and daughter. Lately, she's been hugging me out of the blue and even plants kisses on my forehead. But I couldn't shake the feeling there was more to it. But I didn't do anything. Why'd you suddenly switch up on me? You're my own flesh and blood. I carried you in my womb for 10 months. A mother and daughter's bond can't be broken. That night I was already in bed when Sophia's sobs kept coming in fits and starts. Her little trick didn't seem to work anymore because Mom's door stayed shut all night. Early the next morning, Sophia actually put on my old clothes. She knocked on the door forever, apologizing to Mom in this fragile little voice. But Mom didn't reactivate her card. Instead, she passed me a black card at the table and said, "Your dad had been meaning to give you this. You can get whatever you want." Sophia's fingers were digging into her chopsticks so hard they might snap, but her face still kept up that sweet, round look. Before long, it was the eve of the coming-of-age ball, so Dad rushed back early from his business trip. He had no idea what was going on, letting Sophia cling to his arm while wheedling, "Daddy, I want a different gown." Sophia wasn't about to wear the same thing as me. Just hours before, she'd tossed my black card on the floor and stomped all over it. Don't get any ideas about moving up in the world, Mom's probably menopausal, but I'm still her favorite. I picked up the card and tossed it in the drawer without a word, not even bothering to argue. She had it all, yet stayed on guard against me. Maybe she secretly feared her whole perfect life was just a fragile bubble? Suddenly, my mother spoke up, "I've had Vivian's gown remade. We'll use this chance to properly introduce her to everyone. It needs to be fancier." After a moment of surprise, Dad even seemed pleased. "You changed your mind?" He'd always felt guilty toward me and had long wanted to announce my status publicly, but couldn't stand up to Mom. My mother stroked my hair. "Vivian's done us proud. This coming-of-age party also celebrates her Westwood University acceptance. Not one of those silver spoon kids can match her." I was shocked by her change of heart. Back when I got my grades, she clearly couldn't care less. Instead, she kindly comforted Sophia, who'd barely made the junior college cutoff. "Dad will arrange your study abroad. Pick any school you want. Anyway, after graduation you're supposed to take over T. Evans' family business. Everything your dad and I have is yours." Those words still rang in my ears, but Mom had switched gears now. "When Vivian graduates, if she wants to take over the business and let your dad rest a few years, that's fine. If she prefers to carve her own path, your dad and I will be her solid backup." Her future plans seemed to include only our family of 3, making Sophia's eyes redden with growing hurt. She walked over, plopped down on her knees in front of Mom with a thud, and tears began spilling out perfectly on cue. "Mom, is there something about me you don't like? I'll change whatever you want, just please don't leave me." Dad went to help her up, but she stayed put, sobbing away. Mom kept a stony expression. "I never said I don't want you. I just won't coddle you the way I used to. Can't help wondering if spoiling you rotten made you act." Her voice trailed off, and after a pause, she changed the subject. "I know you want to study abroad with Lucas, and your dad will take care of everything, but we can't keep supporting you forever. You should start planning for your future, and don't forget to visit your mother when you can." My adoptive mother had finished her treatment, moved into an old house, and had a sizable savings. My mom said, "She did such a good job raising you. I owe her that much, can't let her live off scavenging again." At the coming-of-age ball, I was all dressed up like a little princess. I heard the diamond necklace around my neck was something Dad had bought at an auction. That's why I was being extra careful. The spotlight had been on Sophia until Dad called me to the stage. The gears of fate seemed to have shifted irreversibly. "Let's take this moment to introduce our daughter Vivian, this year's top scorer in the city, admitted to Westwood University." My mom waved at me from where she stood, her smile warm and gentle. "Vivian is our real daughter. We only found out 2 years ago that there was a mix-up at birth." I steeled myself and walked onto the stage, the crowd buzzing with whispers around me. "So Sophia's not their real daughter? The Grants even talked about a wedding in 2 years, guess that's off now, huh?" The so-called fake daughter glared at me with a livid face, her lips nearly bleeding from being bitten. In that moment, I truly felt what it was like to transform from a sparrow into a phoenix. The wealthy young men from various families rushed to invite me to dance, and even Lucas sucked up and handed me a glass of red wine. I've wronged you before, but blame Sidian for not explaining you're actually a he. If I were their real daughter, they wouldn't have cornered me in the utility room slapping me like that. Perhaps noticing my dark expression, Lucas guiltily touched his nose. If you ever need anything, just say the word. I couldn't be bothered with him and walked off, when I felt someone in the crowd deliberately stick out a foot to trip me. My dress was so long I stumbled and nearly face-planted, but a sturdy arm instantly swooped in to catch me. I looked up to a familiar face but couldn't remember the name. He smiled awkwardly. Cousin, we've met once, you might not remember. Mom rushed over to me, shooting him a look before her brows furrowed. Aunt. He began, but Mom was already dragging me off without a backward glance. Keep your distance from him. His whole family's trouble. It hit me that I'd seen him before. When I first got to the Evans family's place, he'd come with my uncle and cousin to ask Dad for money. He asked for tens of millions right off the bat, an astronomical figure to me. My dad didn't refuse outright, he just chuckled and said, Eric, bring me a solid business plan. Empty promises won't convince me you've got what it takes to run a business. Eric Wilson, Mom's own nephew. Back then, she kept pushing my dad hard for Eric, and those tens of millions somehow ended up neatly in my uncle's pocket. But now, she seemed desperate to sever any connection with them, her eyes brimming with disgust whenever they fell on Eric. Not long after my coming-of-age ceremony, I enrolled early at school, actually at Mom's suggestion. Go and get settled in first. If things go smoothly in a bit, your dad and I will come stay with you for a few months. Before I left, she took me to visit my adoptive mother one last time. Thanks to the caretaker's attentive care, she looked perfectly healthy with rosy cheeks, though clearly reluctant to let me go. My mother kept reminding her, if Sophia comes looking for you, don't give her a penny. Just trust we won't let her starve. My adoptive mother's gaze drifted for a moment before agreeing somewhat hastily. I felt a bit awkward and gently tugged Mom's sleeve. Anyway, my foster mom and Sophia were biological mother and daughter, her reminder kinda felt unnecessary. Mom's been really stressed lately. I'd seen her lose her temper at Dad more than once. Why on earth do you have to travel all over for work? Can't you just handle it online? Do you know how many people die in plane crashes every year? Dad couldn't help laughing at her. Do you know how ridiculously low the odds of a plane crash are? You're not even old enough to be this paranoid about dying. Her reminders were endless and all over the place. One moment she'd remind me not to take on part-time jobs behind her back and to just ask her anytime I needed money. Then she'd tell me to keep my phone charged at all times so she could reach me. The craziest part was when she told me that no matter what was going on at home, my safety came first and not to do anything rash. I guess she still doesn't know me well. Since I was a kid, I've never been the impulsive type. Even when it was time to leave for the airport, she still clung to me, not wanting to let go. I hate how I turned my back on my own child back then. Vivian, please don't hold grudges against me anymore, let me love you right this time, for the rest of my life. I don't hate her anymore. Maybe I never really hated her from the start, just felt hurt and a little sad. Why doesn't my real mom love me? But during our time together, I'd soaked up some warmth from her, especially seeing how she poured herself into caring for my foster mom. Even my lingering resentment was nearly gone. The week before I started school, Mom video called me almost daily. She was afraid I'd get bullied by classmates, but I never told her how Sophia had treated me. Don't worry. If anyone ever messes with you, just tell me. But 2 weeks into the semester, my calls kept going unanswered. Same with home, which made me think something serious might be going on. Because even the servants wouldn't all be gone. I even called Sophia, but she hung up right away, and when I tried again, her phone was off. It wasn't until my foster mom called that I learned what happened. That very moment felt like the whole sky was crashing down. My adoptive mother stammered, Vivian, come home now. Any later and you might not see your parents alive. I immediately booked a flight back, feeling dazed and fidgety the whole way, not knowing what to do with my hands. On the day I was all excited to start college, my dad's plane went down in a crash. There were no survivors. Our villa caught fire in the middle of the night. Mom fell down the stairs and was rushed to the hospital, but she still hasn't woken up. Sophia, who was supposed to study abroad, stepped up during the crisis and took over the Evans family's business. I rushed straight to the hospital from the airport and found Mom lying in bed, her face completely drained. She had a few scrapes on her face, eyes closed like she was asleep. In the hospital room was a middle-aged woman I didn't recognize. She explained she'd been temporarily hired by the Evans family as a caretaker. "Where's the household staff? And the driver?" The caretaker said only a young girl had stopped by twice. I went to see Sophia, but she dodged me, and the person they sent to chase me off turned out to be Eric. He grinned at me. "Cousin, if I were you, I'd stay the hell out of this mess. Your aunt's probably hooked you up good anyway." He told me to quit wasting my breath, said Dad's old will spelled it out plain as day, every penny's going to Sophia. Lucky I didn't listen to my dumbass old man. If I'd buttered you up back then, where'd I get this VP seat now? He leaned in with a sleazy grin. "Bet your mom never mentioned my old man's just my stepdad, we ain't blood related at all. If you play nice, I'll make sure you get your share of the good stuff down the road." His hand crept toward my waist, and I jerked back in disgust. When I got back to the hospital, Mom was lying in bed while the caretaker flipped through a magazine, looking totally bored. She got to her feet and held out her hand. "Pay me what I'm owed. You'll need to find someone else after this. The hospital's been hounding me about the bills, that girl ain't picking up her phone, and now everybody's bugging me, this whole mess is just batshit crazy." I paid her, then rushed to cover the hospital bills. That night, I stayed by Mom's side and drifted off. In a daze, I felt a hand touching my face, thought it was a dream. When I looked up, I nearly jumped out of my skin. "Mom? Mom? You're awake?" Mom smiled at me. "Don't worry, I'm just fine." I saw her remove the 4-line and couldn't help but question her sanity. But her next words gave me goosebumps. "Your dad's okay, he never even got on that flight." It was like hearing a story straight out of Arabian Nights. My mom said she once dreamed she kicked me out. I skipped college to care for my adoptive mom's illness, pouring every penny into her treatment. Sophia was shipped off overseas for studies, but Lucas got engaged to another girl and never even went with her. Because the Grants family found out she wasn't their real daughter, they called off her marriage to Lucas. She went crazy and took out all her rage on my parents. If you guys hadn't taken in Vivian, nobody would have found out the truth. But then, Dad just happened to be in a plane crash during his business trip. Sophia colluded with Eric to seize control of the Evans family's assets using an old will Dad made years ago. They even forged signatures to strip Mom of her shares. When Mom got into an argument with her, Sophia pushed Mom down the stairs in the heat of the struggle. That fire was also started by her. She wanted to burn Mom to death and be done with it, but the driver she'd fired came begging to keep his job and ended up saving her by accident. However, due to severe injuries and heavy smoke inhalation, she ended up in a vegetative state. Sophia turned a blind eye and soon stopped covering her medical bills. "Vivian, you're the only one who dropped everything to care for me, worked multiple jobs, even sold blood to get me the best treatment." Mom's eyes filled with tears, her voice trembling with emotion. Later, Sophia tried to pull my oxygen tube to finish me off and take over all the Evans family's assets. You dropped to your knees begging her, but she didn't give a damn, even wanted you dead, 'cause only then could she be the rightful heir. She got Eric to choke you. I shivered and cut her off. "Mom, stop, this is too creepy." "It's okay, it was all just a dream." Mom sighed softly. Right, thank God it was all just a dream. We're still in time." At the Evans family shareholder meeting, Sophia's perfectly tailored business suit couldn't mask the triumph plastered across her face. Eric sat to her right, gripping her hand over the folder. Once the vote passed, they'd be running the Evans family empire for good. As the shareholders trickled in one by one, each wore a solemn expression. The door was about to shut when a big hand shoved it open. Dad stepped in first, with me gripping Mom's hand tightly as we followed right behind. Some gasped in shock as others went deathly pale on the spot. Sophia sprang up in horror. Dad, you. Don't call me Dad. I don't have a daughter as resourceful as you. Dad walked over and tossed her aside like a sack of potatoes before settling into the head seat. Beside her, Eric scrambled to his feet in panic, stumbling backward. The moment he spotted Mom and me, his face went white. Mom took my hand and led me to sit down. We're both alive and kicking. What's the point of this shareholder meeting? Everyone there shook their heads, stood up, and started trickling out. Once the last person had exited, I rose and shut the door. Sophia was still in shock, muttering, "How could this be, that plane crash?" Dad snorted coldly, "So you're asking why I'm not dead despite being on the list? My dear daughter, were you really that eager for me to die?" I already knew Mom had desperately stopped him from boarding the plane that day, which led to their huge blow-up at the airport. Sophia collapsed to the ground dazedly, then suddenly glared at her mother with rage. "Then why did you lie? You're the one who told me Dad was dead." Mom glared at her coldly. "How else would I catch your greedy ass trying to snatch T. Evans' family fortune? Forging my signature behind my back to steal everything that he's own? When you shoved me down those stairs, you really thought you'd won, didn't you? Thought you had it all figured out? I didn't. It was an accident. I never meant to push you." She kept denying it, but Mom wasn't letting her off the hook. "An accident? Wasn't it you who couldn't wait to kick me twice when I passed out? Wasn't it you who cursed and set the house on fire? I wasted 18 years on you. Even a dog would wag its tail for me, but you? You wanted us all dead." Sophia snapped out of her daze. "You faked it? But how'd you know?" Mom didn't talk about her dream. She said ever since she realized she'd raised an ungrateful wretch, she'd been quietly bracing herself for this day. Sophia slumped to the ground. After a long moment, she suddenly burst into tears and lunged forward, clutching her mother's pants. "Mom, I lost my mind for a second. Why'd you tell everyone I'm not your real daughter? He dumped me without even talking it through. I'm still your kid. Why were you acting like you hate me now? I'm your daughter too. Why'd you stop loving me out of nowhere? I just wanted you to treat me like before. I never wanted T. Evans' family money, it was all Eric. He kept egging me on, saying I'd get kicked out someday 'cause I'm not blood related if I didn't do this." Eric, trembling nearby, suddenly lunged up and slapped Sophia. "You slut. You came on to me first. Said your aunt and uncle found their real kid, wanted to off them so you wouldn't end up penniless." The vile insult sparked a tussle between Sophia and him. But soon, police officers who'd been waiting outside burst through the door. Mom linked arms with me, her smile now tinged with relief. "We're missing a family photo. Let's go, I've got a photographer booked." My adoptive mother didn't plead for Sophia, she just gripped Mom's hand guiltily. "I've got no right to face you." Mom hugged her. "I can't face you either. I failed to raise her right, spoiled her rotten. I just don't know how to make things right with you." My adoptive mother said everyone's got their own path, you can't blame others. As I was walking her out, she grabbed my hand anxiously and asked, "Will she get the death penalty?" I didn't know what to say, so I just reassured her we'd get Sophia a decent lawyer. My adoptive mother waved her hand off. "Don't get involved, don't put yourself on the spot." She left. When she found out Mom was treating me well now, she actually looked relieved. Everything seemed to settle back into peace, and Mom ended up staying with me nearby for a few months. I don't know if it was a slip of the tongue or what, but she said when I brought her here back then, she had to stay in the cheapest basement. I was so scared things would go back to how they were, that's why I got this place for you way ahead of time. Sophia might be locked up for a very long time. Though Eric tried desperately to wiggle out of it, the evidence left no room for his bullshit. Many years later, Mom had grown too old to move about much. She stroked my palm and whispered, "Vivian, that wasn't a dream. Mom got a second chance. Thankfully, this time I didn't push you away. I just wish it happened sooner. Right from your birth, I would have done everything to love and cherish you, to spare you all that pain.